We've already won the League Cup. We're closing in on a fourth consecutive league title. Now, there's just one trophy left to win. Welcome back to the Sir Alex Ferguson Aberdeen Challenge here on Super Sammy Plays. And after getting knocked out of the Champions League in the last episode, our focus now turns back to domestic football. We're closing in on a fourth consecutive title, and we're through to the semi-finals of the Scottish Cup. Having already lifted the League Cup in December, there's a domestic treble on the line, something we've actually never achieved so far yet in this save. So can this Aberdeen side make history and complete the treble? Let's get into it and find out. And we're going to be starting this one today with a game against Dundee at Pittodrie. And a bit of a slow start in this one as it takes until the 49th minute for us to finally see some action as Semi goes on a run, cuts inside on his right foot, shoots across goal, hits the post, but thankfully Andreas Hernandez is there to tap it into the far corner and give us a 1-goal lead. And then in the 93rd minute, just as we thought we'd actually got the points, Christine goes past Jimenez, plays it into Murray Home, who gets brought down by our youngster Urena. And unfortunately, a penalty was given for Dundee in the last minute to level the game up, in which they accept and smash the ball into the back of the net to make it 1-1. And that's how the game finished. Not entirely sure what this trophy celebration is about because we actually haven't won the title yet. So I think there was actually an issue with the game. But I thought I'd just throw it in there because it was quite funny. And yeah, this is how we are looking in the league at the moment. 14 points clear with 5 games still to play. So yeah, technically can't actually win the league at this point. In terms of the player stats, Ofer Levi still does have the highest average rating, which is unsurprising. It's been pretty good for us all season. Well, more than good for us this season. And in terms of the goal scoring, Chamiti is still well out in front with 18. Just in front, actually, in front of Will Wright, Forson Johnson, who's on 17, but 3 in front of us. Or Chamiti's on 4 in front of us, rather, on with Profundi and Vernblad both on 14. So we are still lacking a little bit in that department. Few other names on there as well, with Robinson with 11 goals, Ofer Levi with 9, which is not bad considering he's been playing defensive midfield all season. And then Semi wrapping it up with 9 as well. In terms of assists though, one clear winner for this one with Ryan Suki Sato with 15 assists and Profundi in second with 9. So very much out in front on his own there, Sato. And then for the average rating, yeah, Ofer Levi quite clearly in front of our next player in Urena and then Sato in third. Back to the football though, and we've got our semi-final of the Scottish Cup against St Johnstone at Pittodrie. Got home advantage in this one. And then the 11th minute, Eric Adam playing it between him and Michael Funk. Michael Funk showing his pace, cuts back on his right foot, gives the ball away, wins it back again, crosses it towards Jimenez, gives it back to Funk, and eventually the shot comes in from Funk, and what a strike that is as it goes into the bottom corner to give us a 1-goal lead. And then Funk involved again. As he crosses into the middle, the goalkeeper pushes it out to the edge of the box. Carlos Alexander knocks it wide to Jimenez. Jimenez cuts back on his left, chips it in the middle, and Jacob Hajek is there to volley the ball home and make it 2-0. And things were looking very comfortable in this one as in the 33rd minute, Jimenez tries to play it down the line to, you might remember Josh Feeney, who we had on loan early on. Well, he gives us the ball back. Jimenez picks it up, chips it to the edge with Carlos Alexander, who shoots into the top corner. What a finish that is from him as we go 3-0 up. And then right on the stroke of half-time, St Johnstone do get back into it with Ajayi walking past the defender easily, pulling it back into the middle, and David Watson fires in the near post to make it 3-1. And then 10 minutes into the second half, Pierre playing it into Frank Jacques, Lawrence playing the ball through back to Frank Jacques, and a lovely little dink over the keeper to make it 3-2 and make things a little bit tighter than we would have liked. But thankfully, our attacking prowess proved superior as in the 62nd minute. We do score another goal with Simone Profundi to go 4-2 up again before adding another in the 82nd minute with a minor Ureda header from a corner as we go on to win 5-2 and advance to the final. Back to the league and one of our biggest tests of the season as we play Rangers at home. And not the start they would have liked in this one, and I'm not entirely sure what provoked this, but Asuga with an absolute brutal tackle on Semi, getting a straight red card very early on. And yeah, we kind of dominated from this point as Simone Profundi fires into the near post, getting onto an Eric Adam pass, giving us a 1-goal lead. 37 minutes in, Milovanovic causing chaos for the defence as he shoots just wide of the post. And then a few minutes later, Profundi, he tries to find Funk. It ends up with Semi, who blasts it past the goalkeeper into the back of the net to make it 2-0. And then again, Milovanovic testing his luck today with this one going just over the crossbar just before half-time. 5 minutes into the second half, though, I'm not entirely sure what Vitek was doing there, and Dane Scarlett says thank you very much as he pulls one back for Rangers. And then 15 minutes later, we do take a 2-goal lead again as a great finish from Martin Bernblad makes the scoreline 3-1. Bafundi went close with a free kick there as it hits the woodwork. And then in the 90th minute, we score another goal with Urainat finding Adam, plays it to the edge of the box. Antu Fati out to the left with Levi, and a lovely finish from him into the far corner as we go on to win 4-1 and confirm we have won the title for a 4th consecutive season. And this was obviously always going to happen at some point as we were well clear in first place. But very nice to wrap it up at home at Pittodrie against one of our biggest competitors in Rangers. So we have won another title, and obviously the board and the fans delighted with that. And we have now got 8 titles in 3rd place, and still just 47 titles behind Rangers. So we might get there at some point. We have picked up a small injury for Milovanovic, but Ofer Levi on form in that last game. He was brilliant yet again, like he has been pretty much all this season. Aberdeen crowned champions. And remember when we had our budget and we had 20 mil in it? Well, it shows how much we are spending on wages. We are now down to 9 mil. Bernblad winning player of the month, though, which is pretty nice to see that not just Semi and Pafundi scoring the goals for us, and Robinson making more positive developments, which is unsurprising as he has been doing this all season, and those stats looking nicer and nicer every time that we actually look. And I'm probably boring the life out of you with showing you these stats at this point. Now, first game as champions is going to be against Hibs at Pittodrie again, so we get a lovely guard of honour from the Hibs players as the Aberdeen team walks out onto the pitch. And I'm sure the atmosphere in this one was absolutely buzzing after winning the league and wrapping it up, seeing us out for the first time since being crowned champions this season. And we repay them with a goal in the 35th minute with Martin Bernblad putting it in the back of the net to make it 1-0. Quite a wait until we finally see some goal mouth action. The 67th minute, Pafundi is brought down for a penalty in which Sato steps up, but unfortunately doesn't convert as the goalkeeper makes the save to keep the scoreline at 1-0. But it wasn't for too much longer as in the 73rd minute, Hajek lays it off for Fati and his shot going all the way through, hitting the post, comes back out to Eric Adam, who gratefully puts it into the back of the net as we go 2-0 up. And then a mistake from the defence in this one, giving us the ball back, and Hajek fires it into the middle. It comes all the way back to Moise Keane, who scores an open goal as we make it 3-0. The Hibs fans did get something to cheer for in the 89th minute as Markandale pulls it into the middle and Robbie Yord does what he does every time we play him and scores a goal against us. But we do still go on to win the game 3-1. And next up, we have got another game against Celtic. And we seem to be constantly playing at home in these games, but this is a rerun of what is going to be the Scottish Cup final. Hopefully not with the same performance, though, as we go 1-0 down early on in this one. And then actually nearly went 2-0 down within 5 minutes after Kyle George puts it into the back of the net. But thankfully for us, it was offside and ruled out. But that didn't stop Celtic as in the 19th minute as Uraina clears the ball to the edge with Almada. Pretty good signing for them, I must say. As Skriniar pulls it back to the edge and what a strike that is from Arnie Engels. He puts it into the back of the net and makes it 2-0 to Celtic. We do manage to pull one back, though, with Martin Bernblad's volley coming all the way back out to Semi, who strikes it into the back of the net and makes it 2-1. And that is how the scoreline stayed for quite a while until the 70th minute with Almada, with a lovely ball to Gilberto Mora. His effort saved by the keeper, falling to Kyle George, who puts it into the back of an open net as they take another 2-goal lead to make it 3-1. And then in the 74th minute, Eric Adam finding Semi. He pulls it back to the edge with Funk, and what a strike that is from the left back. He gets us back into the game to make it 3-2, but unfortunately, that is how the game finished. And we had this message pop up earlier on in the season, but we didn't sign him to a new contract because they were desperate to get a release clause in there, and that is something that we were not willing to do, having lost some of our best players due to the release clauses. And yeah, the agent was still pretty adamant on having a release clause, but at this point, we kind of had to offer him a contract. And I was quite surprised to see that they actually let me remove it. I just bumped his wages up a little bit to compensate for that, and we have signed Levi to a new contract. So I am very happy with that, and hopefully that will get done in the next few days. Next up, a trip to Motherwell. And nothing too exciting happened in this one, as you might notice. The time is on 89th minute, and that is when we finally do see the first goal of the game, as for Levi. Well, I think it was a shot. Ends up with Robinson, who puts it into the back of the net, and we get a 1-0 win. And then, yeah, 30 shots to their 11. So how we only scored the one goal is beyond me. Next up, we play St Johnstone, who we'd just beat in the Scottish Cup semi-final, so we were expecting a similar sort of result in this one. And Simone Perfundi puts us up 1-0 in the 32nd minute, before quite a wait for the second goal, actually, as in the 76th minute. Jimenez pulling it back to Carlos Alexander, and what a finish that is from the youngster, as that rattles the back of the net, and we go 2-0 up. 7 minutes later, Jimenez getting free down the right again. So he pulls it back to Moise Keane in a lovely finish. Well, the deflected effort going past the goalkeeper to give us a 3-0 lead and eventually a 3-0 win. And yet, Over Levi has been granted a work permit and signed a new contract, so we are very happy with that, as he has certainly been one of our best players this season. But on to our final game of the episode. It is going to be the Scottish Cup, and it is going to be against Celtic. And this was very exciting, especially for the neutrals, as we go 1-0 up in the opening 15 minutes as Martin Wernblad gets onto a semi-assist. And yeah, great start in this one. But we didn't have it all our own way, as Jay Robinson fouling the Celtic player, and Thiago Almada steps up, and what a save that is from Vitek to keep the scoreline at 1-0. Unfortunately, though, Celtic do actually manage to get one back, as Abdel Karim plays it out wide to Genie, who showing his pace against Michael Funk, who isn't no slouch, but cuts back on his left foot, plays it into the middle, and Selvin does score for Celtic to make the scoreline 1-1. 2 minutes into the second half, a Ryan Sato corner gets headed out from Levi to Wernblad, who plays a 1-2 with Silva and puts us back 2-1 in front. And then we quickly added a third in the 63rd minute as Ryan Sato's corner comes back to him. He plays it to Wernblad. Tiki-taka football everywhere, and Ofer Levi does eventually stick it into the back of the net to make it 3-1. And a reverse of the Celtic game that we just played in the league. Celtic do pull another one back with Kyle George laying it off to Santiago Castaneda as they make it 3-2 now. Still in our favour, of course. And then in the 84th minute, Wernblad with a lovely ball over the top to Jay Robinson. He holds the ball up, teasing the defender, cuts back on his right foot, lays it off to Carlos Alexander, who lays it off. We hit the post, and Andres Hernandez does eventually stick the ball in the back of the net to make it 4-2. And then a bit of head loss here as Celtic's free kick ends up getting cleared to Ansu Fati. He plays it to Semi, who plays a 1-2 with Michael Funk. An absolute GBH tackle here for Shay Scally, who gets a straight red card in the dying moment. But we do go on to win the game 4-2 and take home another trophy with our first treble of the save. And yeah, very nice to do so. After what started as a pretty slow and rough start to the season, we've certainly ended it very nicely. And Funk drawing attention after blanketing Scally. Not so sure about that after we still conceded 2 goals, but who am I to complain? And Board delighted with the win, which is obviously kind of expected, but this certainly wasn't, as I have entered the Scottish Hall of Fame for matching the best managers ever to have worked in Scotland. So a nice little bit of recognition for all of our cup titles and league titles that we've won so far. And yeah, obviously just the one club managed, bought 40 players for 49 players, sorry, for 140 million. And we've sold 175 million. So I was quite surprised, actually. I kind of expected that to be higher. Highest fee, 20 million for Mohamed Meite. Probably should be more than that, to be honest. Actually, I think that's wrong, because I'm sure we actually got 25 million for Nico Gonzalez. So I'm not entirely sure what's happened there. But 69 or 68% win percentage. Pretty good. Some very nice stats here. I won't bore you with all of them. If you want to go through and look at them, then you certainly can. Be my guest to freeze this at whatever point you want. And we'll give Martin Wernblad a little bit of a praise after that performance. Very good in that final. Scoring goals like he's been doing for us all season. Urena has claimed the Players Player of the Year, which I was quite surprised it wasn't Levi, but he gets the Young Player of the Year. I kind of thought he would have got both, to be honest. He gets the Football Writers Young Player of the Year. We didn't get Goal of the Season. We did get Manager of the Season. And we did get a few players in Team of the Year. I was quite surprised it was only the 4 in Sato, Urena, Silva, Robinson and Wernblad, so I can't count. It was actually 5. And the awards given to Urena, Sato in second for both of those. So quite surprised we didn't dominate all 3 as well. And you might remember there was actually talk of us getting a new stadium, and the board have announced that the club have been granted planning permission to build a new stadium. So hopefully that is something that we will see not maybe quite soon. It will take obviously a year or 2, but hopefully that is something that we get to see in this save. And we don't actually go and win the Champions League before we get the new stadium, because it'd be nice to see if we actually got our name on it. And yeah, our youth facilities downgraded to great. So I asked the board, and after you think all I've done for this club, can we boost them back up again? And unfortunately, they said no, which is pretty much how it always goes with these things. And I'm hoping this wasn't a sign of things to come, with Al Hazam showing interest in all of our centre-backs. And the Saudis look like they're about to ascend on our club again, looking at all of our players. But in terms of incomings, I've actually already made a signing with this 18-year-old Wojciech Marinowicz coming into the club for 3.3 million, I think it was. And he looks like he could be very good indeed. Got some very nice technicals already for an 18-year-old. Pretty decent physicals, just need to maybe work on the balance and the jumping reach and a little bit of strength. But a very good personality type, inspirited as well. And hopefully we see some big things from this player. In terms of the European rankings, we've actually dropped a position down to 20th, which I was quite surprised about because, it's not like we've done badly in Europe by any stretch. But yeah, with that, we've also dropped in the coefficient with Scotland dropping to 8th position. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what that is based on. Maybe it's to do with Celtic or the teams in the other competitions, but it certainly doesn't feel like it should be at any of ours. And again, one more message about somebody stepping up chase for one of our centre-backs. It seems that the 3 of our centre-backs in Urena, Pedro Silva and Caicedo are all wanted. And with Diakate coming in, you might remember we signed who looked unreal, by the way. Maybe we will have to let one of these go. So after an exciting cup final against Celtic, we do lift the Scottish Cup and go on to win our first treble of the save. Considering where we were after a poor start to the season, that's a pretty incredible achievement. After a difficult start, multiple tactical changes, we eventually found a system that worked and went on to win the league by 16 points in the end. Of course, the domestic success is special, but our European journey shouldn't be overlooked either. We reached the round of 16 for the 2nd year in a row, and we pushed Man City all of the way as they narrowly beat us and knocked us out. So it certainly shows just how far this team has come. The challenge now is taking the next step. We've got another summer transfer window ahead of us. We've got some really good young players still developing, and hopefully we will see some new faces coming into the club in the summer as well, as we look to build a team capable of going even further in Europe next season. But that is going to do it for this season of the Sir Alex Ferguson Aberdeen Challenge. And if you've enjoyed this season, do me a favour, hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next season.